tells Titus, speak so that your hearers may be sound in the faith. Ask yourself this question. Does your lifestyle, does my lifestyle, does your day-to-day behavior reflect a soundness, a wholeness in the faith? You may not be able to answer that question yet. But after we consider these things, you'll have a better evaluation tool, I suspect. Especially if you're an older man or an older woman. We'll get on to the young women and the young men and the laborers next week. Pastoral leadership is charged with speaking into this kind of a context. To speak the behavior fitting for their circumstances. To speak the behavior fitting for their circumstances. Paul told Titus, speak to the older men, speak to the older women, speak to the young women, speak to the young men, speak to the bond slaves. Who did he tell him to speak to first? Who did Paul tell Titus to address first? He said, you need to talk to those older men. Why? Do you think there's a reason why Paul told Titus to address the older men first? How necessary is it for husbands and fathers to walk in a manner that sets an example for their children, for their wives, for their brothers and sisters in Christ? How necessary is that? It has always been the Lord's desire that the older generations teach and walk as examples for the younger generations. Older men and older women should be setting examples, older men for younger men, older women for younger women. God established it like that. Titus's word, Paul's words to Titus affirm it. Let me just read to you real quick from the law, from Deuteronomy chapter 6. I just want to share this with you. The Lord speaking through Moses to the nation of Israel, he says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be on your heart. Where should the words be? They shall be on your heart. That's fabulous. What should I do with them? Then you shall teach them diligently to your sons, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontals on your forehead. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Psalm 78. Listen, O my people, to my instruction. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth, and I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known. And our fathers have told us. We will not conceal these things that we have heard from their children, but we will tell to the generation to come the praises of the Lord. God's expectation has always been for the older generation to teach the younger generation. What's the problem when the older generation behaves in a manner that's inconsistent with the teaching? What happens? What happens to the example? Maybe the teaching is sound because they're teaching the scriptures, but their behavior is inconsistent with the teaching. What happens? What happens when a father decides, I'm just going to send the kids off to church? Does anybody know anybody like that? I think my kids need to grow up in the church. Do you guys have a bus ministry or something so that I can send my kids with the bus ministry to the church? Well, why don't you just bring them yourself? Matter of fact, why don't you learn and draw near to God yourself so that you can teach your children the way God commands you to? There's a reason why God says, speak to the older men first. Speak these things. Speak the behavior that's fitting for their circumstances. We'll come to the reasons later. Speak these things with God's purposes. We'll talk about that after we talk about the specifics. So let's start with this. Speak the things fitting for their circumstances. I think I'll be redundant, but I'm going to do it anyway. Does God care about my behavior? Does your behavior matter? Does our behavior as a church matter? It does. And if there's anyone who's looking for a religious option that allows you to be saved and also gives you an excuse to continue in your uncontrolled, irreverent lifestyle, will you ever find it? Is there such a religion out there that allows you to honestly, genuinely be saved, yet excuses you to continue on your irreverent, sinful lifestyle? No. It doesn't exist. Our Father in heaven, holds us in Christ, His children, to what standard? The highest standard. The measure of maturity for a Christian son or daughter is Christ. I've got a lot of growing up to. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 17 says, and if you address as Father, ask yourself this question. Do you call God Father? Do you refer to the Creator of heaven and earth as Father? Or is He just a God to you? Because in Christ Jesus, God has given us the right to become His children. And therefore He gives us the privilege and the freedom to call Him, to cry out to Him, Abba, Father. If you address God as Father, confessing yourself to be His child, an heir of His kingdom, if you address as Father the one who impartially judges according to each man's work, conduct yourselves in fear. Conduct yourselves in reverence during the time of your stay upon earth, Peter says. Speak, Titus, speak to the older men first. Speak to the context. Speak into a context in which it can be applied that older men were given to drunkenness. Older men were given to extravagant and wasteful endeavors. Older men are given to political extremism driven by fears, by speculations, by opinions, uninformed by the truth. Does that happen in America today? Are there older men who are freaking out about the political situation that exists now? Are there men who are given to drunkenness or just given to wasting their lives for nothing? We live in a context, and they lived in a context which was notorious for having dirty old men prone to a foul mouth, prone to sarcasm, prone to telling dirty jokes, prone to undignified behavior, prone to underhanded business dealings, prone to bad work practices. Old men prone to angry outbursts and selfishness. Old men prone to giving bad advice with great confidence and conviction. We talked about all that last week, right? Does LeGrand have any old men who fit the bill? Why are you laughing? Are there any older men in this city who act in this manner? And I would just say, judging by your laughter, that the answer is absolutely yes. Into this context, Paul tells Titus, speak. Speak God's expectation for older men as those who ought to live in a manner worthy of honor. Brothers, look at me. You need to live your life and start living in your life in a manner that allows you to be worthy of the honor due a man making a claim to godliness. I pray that you've already begun that process. Speak what older men ought to be. Proverbs 20:29, the glory of young men is their strength, and the honor of old men is their gray hair. Proverbs 16:31, a gray head is a crown of glory. It is found in the way of righteousness. I pray that that is true for the men sitting in this room today. But if it is not, then let God correct our course. Older men are to be what? Number one, temperate. Older men are to be temperate. Literally, that word means to be sober, to be circumspect. When was the last time you used the word circumspect? What's that? What's it mean? Well, here's what it means. To be circumspect means to be careful, to consider all possible consequences, to be prudent, or to be wise, to be circumspect. Older men need to be wise. They need to be temperate. They need to be circumspect. I pray that as we grow older, we get wiser about the steps we take. And we don't just take steps in our foolishness, in our ignorance. To be temperate. To be bound within godly limits. Who makes the limits for your life? Brothers, who makes the limits for your life? What you will do or what you won't do. How you're going to act or how you won't act. To be temperate, not extreme or excessive, marked by an absence or avoidance of extravagance, marked by an absence of violence or extreme partisanship. Temperate. Dignified. Older men are to be dignified. Cameron and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. What does it mean to be a man who is dignified? Well, I pray it means that when people think of you as you grow older, they don't think of you as some dirty old man, some creepy old dude, some guy that just sits on his couch, gets drunk, watches Barney. What's that old guy that sat on his chair? Archie Bunker. Have you ever seen that? It's too old. I don't know. Family Man? Maybe the old guy that sits on and watches Family Man all day long.
Family Guy.
Sorry. Dignified means to be honorable, showing or expressing dignity, a quality or state of being worthy, honored, esteemed, imitated. To live a life worthy of imitation. To be able to say, as the Apostle Paul said to the church of Corinth, be imitators of me as I am of Christ. Brothers, does God hold us to a low bar? The bar's up there. Temperate, dignified, possessing a seriousness of manner, of appearance, of language. Essentially, Romans 12, I believe, sums it up, 12:17, respecting what is right in the sight of all men. Do I respect what is right in the sight of all people? Now, understand that as I'm sharing these qualities with you, what does verse 3 say? women, what does it say after that? Older women likewise must be reverent in all their behavior. I believe this list that you get that Paul gave to the older men, to speak to the older men, this is a list of behaviors that help us to walk in a manner that's reverent. And Paul says to Titus, older women likewise are to be reverent. So women, don't check out. Sisters, don't check out. Because these qualities need to apply to you as well as you get older. Temperate, dignified, sensible. We talked about this when we talked about calling of elders. To be sensible, to be sound, to be safe in mind, self-control, moderate as to opinion or passion. Similar to temperate, it's meaning wise and prudent. The sensible man, the sensible woman understands his way, is not foolish, considers his steps, is not gullible, crowned with knowledge. One who regards reproof, does not reject discipline, heeds the master's instruction, conceals dishonor. A man who is sensible, if he's offended, you probably won't know. Until you're one-on-one with him and he comes to you privately, the way God teaches him to, and says, brother, sister, can we talk? The man who is not sensible, the woman who is not sensible, well, you'll know if they've been dishonored. It will be evident immediately. To be sensible is to be one who controls his temper, not spouting off like a know-it-all. Rather than telling everybody how much we know, rather we let our actions reflect our knowledge. Not displaying folly, not going on an evil. Temperate, dignified, sensible, sound, or healthy in faith, in love, and perseverance. Healthy in faith. What does that mean? Sound in faith. Older men should be men who are not leaning on their own understanding, but rather trusting in the Lord. Jeremiah 17:7, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose trust is the Lord. To be sound in faith is to trust not in gods formed by the art and thought of man, but rather trusting in the living God. There should be more evidence of faith in God, soundness of faith in God as I grow older. I should have more faith in the Lord this year, next time, or next year at this time, right? Than I do today. My trust in Him should be increasing continually. Sound in faith, walking in the assurance of things hoped for. In the assurance of God's precious and magnificent promises. Walking in the conviction of things not seen. 1 Peter 1:8. And though you have not seen Him, you love Him. And though you do not see Him now, but believe in Him, you greatly rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory. As I get older, now I start to understand some of the older folks that I know. Older men and older women who are just waiting. They're just looking forward to being with the Lord. They're not worried about losing something in this life if God was to take them today. The thought is not a problem. You get younger men, younger women, young people, they're like, oh, I'm looking forward to being with God in heaven, but not today. I'm like, yes, today. Today would be great. Walking in the conviction of things not seen, rejoicing in the promises and the magnificent and precious promises of God. Sound in love. Older men need to be sound in faith and sound in love. What does that mean? I promise you, we could preach like that. I could preach for the next month on what that means. But let me just give you the best summary I can give you of what this means. To be sound in love, to be men who pursue love.